Welcome back. We are continuing our study of the Wise Woman Code.
And we've moved through the foundations.
Right. Stillness, breath, visualization, and then language. Now we're entering chapter 5.
This is where the work shifts.
Yeah, it really feels like it. We're moving from, adding structure to removing obstruction. This is the chapter on clearing the mind.
And it opens with a very direct statement. It is not enough to speak kindly. The mind must also be cleared.
That line, that really hits hard because we've spent all this time building these tools.
Mm-hmm.
But this suggests that even if we use the affirmations from chapter 4 and we get the tone just right, it might not be enough if the space itself is, cluttered.
Correct. And to understand why, we have to look at the progression we've established. This isn't just a random collection of tips.
It's a sequence.
It's a sequential architecture. So in chapter 1, we established stillness. That created awareness.
Right.
Chapter 2, breath regulation. That created physiological safety.
Mm-hmm.
Then chapter 3 gave us direction through visualization. And chapter 4, reinforcement through language.
Yeah, learning to speak to ourselves with authority, not with contempt.
Exactly. But now, in chapter 5, we are establishing discernment. The goal here is to create clarity.
And the manual says clarity is created by clearing away, not by adding more.
Precisely.
I think this is where I, and probably a lot of you listening, can get stuck. We do the work, we try to be positive, disciplined, but my head still feels so full. It's noisy. Even if the noise isn't all negative, it's just crowded.
And that's what the text calls mental congestion.
Right.
It's important to distinguish this from just having a busy life. You can have a really busy schedule.
And still have a clear mind.
Exactly. Congestion. That happens when the mind is filled with unfinished thoughts, imagined futures, and conversations that have already ended.
It's like having way too many tabs open, but for your emotions.
In a sense, yeah. But Michelle Rice takes it a bit deeper. She points out that even a disciplined mind can get congested if it's missing a mechanism for release.
So you're just holding on to things that don't belong in the present moment.
And that compromises you.
Okay, let's unpack that. Because I think there's a fear there. If I clear my mind, am I just ignoring my problems? It feels almost irresponsible to just let things go.
Well, isn't thinking about them necessary?
Right. How do you solve them if you're not thinking about them?
That is the critical distinction the chapter makes. The difference between thinking and rumination.
Okay.
Thinking is active, it's processing. It moves from a problem toward a solution. It has a trajectory.
And rumination is?
Rumination is a loop. It just circles the same unresolved issue over and over without ever landing.
It's replaying an argument in the shower 3 days after it happened.
Precisely. That is not processing. The author calls that mental residence.
You're letting a thought live rent-free in your head.
Yes. A thought that probably has no utility or truth in this present moment. And the consequence of that is that the congestion distorts your perception. You start seeing the present through a filter of all that unfinished business.
So clearing isn't about escapism. It's really about accuracy.
It's about authority. The text says, clarity is not achieved by force. It is restored by release.
You can't just think your way into being clear.
No, you can't think harder to get there. You have to remove the interference.
And this brings us to the main metaphor in this chapter, the water analogy, which I found so helpful.
It is. And it's not just poetic, it's functional. The text asks you to imagine a body of water.
Okay.
When that water is turbulent churning, agitated, you can't see the bottom. The surface is chaotic. The depth is obscured.
Yeah, everything looks distorted. You can't see where anything lands.
Exactly. But when the water settles, transparency returns. You can see the bottom. You can see the true nature of what's there.
The application being?
The disturbance itself becomes the obstruction.
Oh, I like that. The disturbance is the obstruction.
When your mind is turbulent with all that rumination, your perception narrows. You're just reacting to the turbulence, not to the actual situation.
But when the thought settles?
Settled thought restores discernment. It lets you see things as they actually are, not as your anxiety is projecting them to be.
Okay, so the goal is settled water. But how do we actually do that? Because I can tell my brain to settle down all day, and it doesn't listen.
And that's why we don't use force. We use the tools we've already built. Chapter 5 very explicitly integrates the skills from the previous chapters.
So we don't just try to clear the mind.
No, we use breath and visualization.
It starts with the breath again.
Always. You can't clear the mind if the body's in a state of alarm. So the instruction begins with that diaphragmatic breath from chapter 2.
Regulate the nervous system first.
Once the body is steady, then you use the visualization skills from chapter 3 to create a mechanism for release.
And the manual gives 3 really specific images for this: the capsule, dandelion seeds, and the cloud.
Yes. And notice the quality of all 3 images.
They're all about weightlessness, detachment.
Exactly. The first is to visualize putting the intrusive thought into a capsule, sealing it, and just watching it float away.
Okay.
The second is to see the thought as dandelion seeds. You just blow on them and they scatter, dissolve. The third is to place the thought on a cloud and watch it drift out of sight.
Why those images specifically? Why not something like, I don't know, burning the thought or burying it?
Because those are violent or heavy actions.
Right.
Burning implies destruction. Burying implies suppression. The goal here is release.
It's a gentle action.
It is. We're not destroying the thought. We're simply removing its residence from our immediate focus. We're letting it drift. It's neutral.
That's a huge distinction, because when I'm ruminating, I usually feel angry at the thought. I want to crush it. This approach is more indifferent.
It's disciplined discernment. You're just saying, this does not belong here right now.
Okay, but here's the reality check, and thankfully the text addresses this. What happens when I put the thought on the cloud, watch it drift away, and 3 seconds later,
It's back!
it's back, because that's what happens.
It is, and the text is very firm here. Do not use self-criticism. If the thought returns, you don't get angry. You don't say, I'm failing at this.
You just repeat the process.
You return without contempt.
Return without contempt.
The purpose of this practice isn't to permanently solve that problem in a 3-minute session. The purpose is to practice the act of clearing. You're building the muscle of dismissal.
It's not about achieving silence, it's about practicing the return.
Exactly. You're clearing the field so that solutions can surface later. You can't find a solution when you're drowning in the turbulence. You have to clear the water first.
And this leads us to that concept you mentioned earlier, mental residence. I think this is really the core philosophy of the whole chapter.
It's the framework for discernment. The author distinguishes between addressing a thought and housing it.
Okay, what's the difference?
Addressing a thought is acknowledging it, deciding what to do, and moving on. Housing it is letting it stay.
And paying the mortgage on it with your mental energy?
Precisely. Constant mental occupancy drains your clarity. In Chapter 4, we talked about disciplined language correcting your tone.
Right.
Chapter 5 is about disciplined clearing correcting the volume.
Oh, I love that. Tone versus volume.
And to do that, you need criteria, a filter. The text gives a very logical set. First, is this thought true?
That's a tough one. Fear often feels really true.
But feeling true and being factually true are 2 different things. Second, is this thought useful? Does it serve a purpose right now?
And the third one?
Does this thought require engagement?
That one, for me, that's the game changer. Does this require engagement? Because for a worry about something happening next Tuesday, the answer is usually no, not right now.
Exactly. Not every thought requires engagement. Most thoughts are just static. They're like mental weather. If you engage with every cloud that passes, you'll be exhausted.
So this is about being a bouncer for your own mind.
A polite but firm bouncer, yes.
Okay, let's get into the practice itself. The Wise Woman practices for Chapter 5.
It combines everything we've learned. And I want to stress, it's a progression. If you skipped the breathing in Chapter 2, this will feel much harder.
The foundation matters. So step 1.
Step 1 is stillness. Sit comfortably. Close your eyes.
Simple enough.
Step 2 is the breath. Slow diaphragmatic breaths for 1 minute. This is essential. You must down-regulate the body before you try to clear the mind.
Okay, so 1 minute of breathing, then what?
Then step 3. On your exhale, you visualize releasing one specific thought. This is where you use the imagery we discussed.
The capsule, the dandelion, the cloud.
Right. You identify the clutter, and on the out-breath, you send it away.
And you do this for about 3 to 5 minutes.
That's the recommendation. It's a short practice.
And step 4 covers what happens when the mind wanders.
Which it will. When it does, you use a simple affirmation to anchor yourself. On the inhale, you think, return. On the exhale, you think, release.
Inhale.return, exhale.release. It's like a rhythm.
It is. You're teaching your nervous system that you are in control of the flow. You're not a victim of your thoughts. You're the observer of them.
The manual calls this selective detachment. We're not checking out of life.
No, we're selecting what to detach from. And repetition is what strengthens that discernment. The first time you do it, it might not feel like much, but daily practice trains the mind to recognize it doesn't have to hold on to everything.
It's learning how to set down the baggage.
And a busy mind cannot see well. That's the bottom line. Release restores clarity. Discernment protects your authority.
Which is the whole point of the book.
It's how you get to that clear zone where decisions feel easier and your purpose is more natural. You have to protect the space where that clarity lives.
So the manual includes a reflection question for this chapter. And I'll be honest, this one took me a minute. The question is, what thought has been taking up space in my mind that I am ready to release?
It's a very direct question.
It is. And for me, it wasn't some big existential crisis. It was a conversation I had last week where I felt misunderstood, and I just kept replaying it, editing the script in my head. I should have said this, or why did they say that? It was taking up so much residence. It was just exhausting.
And that's a perfect example of a thought that fails the criteria. Is it useful now?
No.
The moment's passed.
Does it require engagement?
No. I can't change it.
So by replaying it, you're just keeping the water turbulent. You can't see the lesson because you're too busy fighting the memory.
Right. And just acknowledging that I was ready to release it felt lighter. It didn't fix the original misunderstanding, but it stopped the energy drain.
And that restores your authority. When you release that clutter, you are no longer reacting to the past. You are available for the present. And that is where your power is.
It's simple, but it's definitely not easy.
No, but it is necessary.
So as we wrap up Chapter 5, we've learned that even a disciplined mind can get congested, that turbulence obstructs our vision, and that clarity comes from settling the water, not from fighting it. And we now have a practice: breath, visualization, and the permission to let things drift away. We understand this is a protective measure. Discernment protects your capacity to lead your own life.
We always close with the affirmation from the chapter. This is meant to be the anchor. I'll let you read it.
Take a moment to sit with this. I return to the present moment. I release what does not belong.